Hey there, VA Nation. Jeff Newton with National VA Loans. Today, we're going to cover credit score requirements for the VA home loan, whether you purchase or refinance. And there's a lot to cover when it comes to credit. So let's get after it. All right, like I said, there's a lot to cover when it comes to VA and when it comes to the credit and everything like that. So we want to dive right into it. First, I want to start off with the or what credit is and what credit you need to be looking at. Number one, there's three different credit scores or that we use in the mortgage world or in the VA world, and that's Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Now, keep in mind, we take the middle of the three scores. So I'm going to make this real easy. We've got a borrower that has a 700 TransUnion, a 600 Equifax, and a 650 Experian. Their middle score, the qualifying score that we're going to use is going to be that 650 credit score, okay? Because that's the middle of the three. So there's the first place we want to start. So now I know there's a lot of places out there where you can check your credit and things like that, but it's a little bit different than what we use in the mortgage side of things. But it is still good to know what's going on with your credit report and what's happening on it. All right, so let's dive right into what the VA requires. Number one, the VA doesn't really have credit score requirements. They do not require a minimum credit score, mainly because the VA is not lending money. What the VA is doing is securing your home loan up to 25% of it, okay? So the VA is not technically lending you the money, it's the investor or the lender, like a Leader One Financial here at National VA Loans, that we would use in order to secure your financing. Now, the VA, again, they secure up to 25% of it or guarantee up to 25% of it. That's why they don't really have a lending requirement when it comes to credit score. Most lenders out there are going to require, you see everything from 640 to 660. Some are just 620 or 600. It just depends on what lender you're going with. And so I'm going to speak to us at National VA Loans, a division of Leader One Financial, and where we're at. We allow down to a 550 credit score for veterans. It's one of our only programs that we allow credit scores below 600, but we do go down to 550. It usually opens it up a little bit for our veterans out there so they can have a little bit a little bit more opportunity to buy a home, which is really what we're wanting to do, is to give our veterans an opportunity to purchase a property. So we look at a 550 credit score minimum. Now, does that mean that you're going to get approved because you have a 550 credit score? No, it doesn't. There's a lot of factors that get put in there, and one of the factors is stability of credit. How long have you had a credit profile open? Have you had any negative credit in the last 12 months? Uh, those are two of the big factors that we look at. Another one, that when the credit score is a little bit low on the lower side of credit, another thing that we look at, or the lenders look at, is what kind of assets do you have? What kind of reserves do you have? If you have a 550 credit score, but you have, $25,000 in the bank, that can make a difference. That can strengthen. And that's really what we're looking for, is to strengthen your file, and depending on where that lower credit is. So that's one thing that we look at. Another thing is rental history or previous homeownership history. How does that look? Debt to income ratio. How much debt do you have compared to how much income you have? That's another big factor in loans. Now, granted, the higher your credit score, usually the easier it is to get qualified. But keep in mind, if you do have that lower end credit score, you're going to want to add some what we call residual value, I guess, or some strengthening factors or compensating factors to the loan. Assets, long time at residency, long time at your job, low debt to income ratio, things like that. Credit scores are really hard to gauge, and they're really tough to be able to understand because they change the algorithms, as they say, often. And of course, just like anything else, they keep you guessing. They keep you on your toes. So when we look at credit, we try to dive in just more than the score. One thing, if you do have a little bit lower credit score, one thing to look at is the fact that you can increase that credit score. If you'd like to have more information about that, it's 855-956-4040. Any of our VA specialists here will help you understand and maybe even help you be able to increase your score a little bit and get it up to where it needs to be. We're going to do a little bit more in-depth video at some point where we go over credit score. But for right now, if you guys have questions, give any of our VA specialists a call or call me at 855-956-4040. But any of our VA specialists will be happy to answer any questions you have about credit, about possible qualifications, whether it's a purchase or a refinance. And they'll answer, really, like I said, anything they can for you. All right, guys, folks, we appreciate your time. We appreciate all you do for our country. And thank you for your service. Until next time, God bless.